Welcome to my voiceover world.
Hey, hey,
Hey,
how you doing?
doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's nice to see you. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it has been a minute, but thanks for willing to do this, Sean.
Of course. Always happy to talk to you.
Of course. You know, it's been almost 4 years since we saw each other right there. It's
I
like,
know.
oh, it took me back. And and you want to know something? Since I interviewed with you, it had me wondering that since the collages that I made for you, it just made me realize that, man, I'm the reason why you got yourself involved into a lot of projects, such as the anime shows that you were brought into and many others. Just as I helped you out, you end up doing the same for me in return, which had me a lot happier as I thought it'd be.
Is that right? Is there stuff that I've worked on that came from chatting with you?
Well, let's just say it involves Adventure Time and pretty much Pluto and Records of Ragnarok and all sorts of
Mhm.
different projects. It's like,
Yeah.
boy, it's just coming out very good these days. But
Yeah, those
yeah.
were very fun to work on.
So, to put it plainly, how are things been going with you for over the past 4 years?
Um, they've been going very, very well. Yeah, thankful to have worked on a bunch of fun gigs and a little bit of everything, whether it's animation or video games or anime or audiobooks sometimes. Um, so yeah, I'm just happy to be busy. Obviously, there were some strikes recently, and the video game strike that looks like it should be ending finally. So it's obviously we want to work as much as possible, but you got to do what you can to protect your peers. So I think it was something that had to be done, but I'm glad that it seems to be ending. But
Yes.
yeah,
You know, I'm very glad that that video game strike finally got ended with that suspended thing happened. And I was like, most satisfying thing happening after all these months of protests and everything. It
yeah,
finally got sorted out. And I'm glad that you brought into more games that are yet to come.
yes. Knock on wood. I don't know if you have wood near you. You got to knock on it for good luck.
I was hoping you may say that, but you know, um, to jog my memory right, but do you how what inspired you to pursue voice acting, and what was the best decision you made so far that has excelled into your career? For what purpose?
Hmm. Um, well, it was a long, windy road. I got into college studying mechanical engineering, quickly found out I didn't want to do that. I'd always been passionate about animation, but I thought I wanted to be on the production side of animation, so I made my own shorts and stuff, and worked on a couple shows as an intern and a production assistant, and I worked on um, Randy Cunningham Ninth Grade Ninja, which was a Disney XD cartoon, a really cool cartoon. And while I was there, I managed to convince my bosses to let me come into a voice record, and that's when I saw that day it was Kevin Michael Richardson and John DiMaggio. So John DiMaggio is the voice of Bender from Futurama and a bunch of other stuff. And Kevin Michael Richardson was on the Cleveland Show, all kinds of stuff. Uncle Grandpa. So watching them, I realized one, they're amazing, but two, seeing it actually happen in front of me made me realize that it's not like it's a real job. I'm seeing the job happen right in front of me. It up until then it kind of felt like saying I want to be in the NBA or a professional soccer player, like one of those jobs that you just don't know anybody that has it. But getting to see it made me realize, oh, this is something I can actually pursue, and I think I see how it's done. I think I can do it too. So that's what started it. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, that's most interesting to hear, and that's how you got into voice acting because of that experience you had. First through trying to get into mechanical engineering, but you ended up going into animation instead. And thanks to John DiMiggio's, aka Bender, and Kevin Michael Richardson, gone to, and inspiring you to do so, it's where you led yourself into the voice acting career. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, that's when I started to pursue it professionally, but it was many more years before I actually started to make, a living doing it. Um,
I
but yeah,
see.
and I was working all kinds of jobs at the beginning. There was one job that I had where I would teach this animation related program at schools. They'd bring us, it was for tobacco awareness. So they'd bring the company I worked with to teach this program where we're there for a week and the kids get in groups and make a cartoon, stop motion animation based on their own ideas. That ended up leading to work doing something similar on military bases across the country at youth challenge academies, they're called. So it's like 16 to 18-year-olds, mostly at-risk youth who go there to try to change their lives, get a GED. And so we did this like sort of self-help version of our animation program there, which was a lot of fun. But the moment that I realized I'm officially dead set on being a voice actor was I had a really big callback, a chemistry test come up the day I was supposed to go to a military base in Hawaii to do it. And that morning, my agent said, "Hey, can you come in tomorrow for this chemistry test for this animated series?" I said, "I'm going for work. I'm out of the state." He said, "Don't worry about it." I had a layover in San Francisco. Turned on my phone. He started panicking, saying, "Oh, they can't change it. You need to come right away." And then I went to land in Honolulu, where we were going to go to the military base and check my phone. There was no solution. So at that moment, decided to go to my boss, who was a very sweet woman. But unfortunately, I said, "I don't think I can be here. I think I have to go back," because it was an opportunity of, to change my career. And so I risked that job, which was not fun. And within 24 hours, flew from Southern California to San Francisco to Honolulu, Hawaii, back to San Francisco, back to Southern California to go to this chemistry test the next day. So that was a pretty wild experience, but it helped me realize that I was serious about this as a career.
You were in the military?
I wasn't in the military. It was just a program. The
Oh,
kids, the youth challenge academies are these programs that are usually held on National Guard military bases across the country. So they're
oh,
not in the military, but this program is typically on National Guard military bases. But
oh,
yeah,
oh.
yeah,
I was just making sure because it's just sometimes I just trying to think things correctly when it comes to understanding people's perspective. But yeah, I'm just
yeah.
glad you're telling me this.
Yeah,
But
no problem. I know I gave you a mouthful, so I don't blame
yeah,
you. It's okay to be confused about what I just said.
of course. I understand that. Now, without further ado about the questions of the characters, but just trying to get things right, but do you remember the first ever character that you get to voice as before many others? And what was the experience like? Like your first ever audition, I mean.
Um, I don't remember the first ever audition that I had, but the first the first professional voiceover gig I booked was for a Starbucks radio commercial. But I think the first callback I ever had, this was years and years ago, was for League of Legends, auditioning for the character of Warwick, which I thought was such a cool character. But I think I was a little too new. I didn't book it. And the first animated series I booked, you already know about, was DC Superhero Girls. So that was the first cartoon that I booked that I didn't make myself.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because all I know is that it's Jimmy versus versus world, right?
Oh yeah, that that's a cartoon that I made myself, and I used to write and voice my own cartoons.
I see.
Yeah, so that was
So
some of the very first stuff I did.
I see. That was your very first audition, Jimmy versus the world as Jimmy. I'm just trying to make sure so that Just in case if I ever do a voice showcase for you, like I did for many others for 4 years, you, sir, will have it in chronological order to help give you the recognition you deserve, like everybody
That's
else I've done for 4 years. Like,
that's very kind of you. You put it in whatever order you want. I trust you completely, Sebastian.
of course, like how I did for Billy Kometz and everybody else for my YouTube channel.
Mm. Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Indeed, it is. Now
Can I
then.
can I ask you, it's been 4 years since we last chatted. What are some of the newer things that you've been doing since then?
What are the newer things I've been doing? Let's just say I have been taking college in Santa Fe in Gainesville, and I've also have been well, I've also been training myself to attend more marathons that are yet to come, and
Wow.
just trying to get myself out there by doing auditions, and not just auditions, but by making videos up to inspire those on the spectrum to do all sorts of good stuff in order to just feel motivated about it.
That's amazing. You're doing way more than I think the average person does. That's incredible. I've never ran a marathon. Um, I like sports because they I don't like running myself, but when you're playing sports, you're distracted by the game. So you don't realize you're running because you're trying to score a goal or make a good pass or whatever. So, um, when I'm just running, it's really hard for me to do it for a long time.
Well, I'm glad you say that. That's my reasoning why I joined the Doug Flutie Jr. Foundation for Autism. To do a lot of more great stuff in life, not just running, but by getting myself involved into a lot of things that end up piquing my curiosity by all means. But yeah,
That's awesome. Well done.
of course. Now, without further ado about the characters, but how does it feel about stepping into the role of the character Wada Musutaka in Oku, The Inner Chambers? What do you like about voicing that character?
That was I don't remember how that came about, but it was a really interesting story idea, and my character I don't think had too many moments. I mean, there were a few scenes where he's talking a lot, but just the concept of the show was really interesting. Um, and it was definitely unlike any anime that I've seen before. I haven't seen that many animes myself, I'm ashamed to say, but um, you know, this was totally different from those.
Interesting. So that's what you like about voicing that character. Because all I know is that I got to know about lot about that show because of not just you, but because of a certain someone I met months ago, your friend, Sean Bargos, who is also involved in it. And I give props to you and props to Carrie Carnan for bringing you and Mr. Bargos into the show. And of course, Josh Keaton and Casey Mongelo alongside with each other to do a lot of great stuff in life. But hey,
Yeah,
honestly, you deserve to be directed by Carrie, and not just for her stuff, but for also to be part of many more projects right there. Especially
thank you.
Gundam or any other things that are yet to come for NYAV Post by all means. For
That
at
would be
least
nice.
indeed for Stephanie Shea. Now
Yeah.
then, playing Udyr in League of Legends must have been so exciting, right? So what's your most favorite thing aspect about bringing that character into the game?
From that one, I remember sometimes they say when you audition that you don't want to spend too much time on your audition because then people can hear how fine-tuned and perfected it is. You still want it to feel natural. You don't want to overcorrect. But that one was one I remember spending a lot of time on because it's a deep, gravelly character. I could do those types of characters, but I didn't book a character like that. And this character came across, and I identified so much with him. He was sort of one with nature, in touch with the spirits around him, and just an interesting character. So I spent a lot of time on the audition to make sure that I can give it as much depth as possible. And yeah, thankfully I ended up booking from that audition. He can be very loud, very gravelly, very tough, big character, but also very gentle, sometimes very funny. So yeah, exploring all that with him was super fun.
Well, that's most interesting to hear from you, Sean, because you being part of League of Legends was the best choice that was ever made. Because, hey, I give props to the director, whoever it is who brought you in, for bringing you in such a legendary game right there. Because that's what's part of being part of a true game is by showing yourself for who you are on the inside. So, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a lot of fun to work on. Everybody was super nice. The directors were amazing. Yeah, it was a lot of fun to work on. A lot of screaming. That was the one challenge too, was you hear in voice acting a lot of times casting directors will ask you to make sure you can sustain whatever voice you do for the audition for a 4 hour session if needed. And so that was the first real test I had of that, where it was a super strenuous, loud, big character. But thankfully, I lasted the whole session and it was fine. But you always got to be careful and be safe with your voice, with your vocal instrument.
That's most interesting to hear. Now, without further ado, Prismo in Adventure Time Fionna and Cake must have been such a legendary character you played as, right? So, what made that role so special to you?
Well, I actually, like I said, I used to work in animation. I used to intern at Cartoon Network, and I even tried to apply to be a storyboard artist on Adventure Time years ago. And s- to get to work on basically a spinoff of Adventure Time as an actor was like a full circle moment, super exciting. And I didn't know the reasoning behind why, because originally Prismo was voiced by Kumail Nanjiani, who's an incredibly talented, funny, um, just all around amazing talent. So I didn't know the reasoning why he wasn't reprising the role. Um, but it was definitely special for me to come in and try to do the role justice. That was a really well written show, really fun, amazing show to work on.
Well, that's very awesome to hear from you. Because, hey, Adventure Time has been part of my childhood back then. And that it's like the original actor himself was just very funny at just being interactive right there. Especially
Hmm.
when confronting Ron Perlman right there. And then a few years later, like you said, I don't know why ended up not repraising him for. I don't know, for personal reasons or something, but you carrying out his legacy, one of the most best choice ever made. I just hope he understands about what you're doing for him. It's all just to help him out.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think it worked out in the end, but that was very special to work on. Did you have a favorite character when you watched it growing up?
You know, it's so funny how you say it, but to answer your question, it's the vampire herself, Marceline.
Mm,
Yes.
that's a fun one.
Yes, especially she has, because to tell you the truth, she did remind me of myself because of my personality,
Mm,
because because of my teenage years, of course.
right,
So,
right.
yeah.
That's a
Well,
good choice.
indeed. Being part of the show, Shaman King as the voice of Tao Ren, the adult version of him, Masoke, and John DeBart, and various characters must have been so cool, right? So, what's the most thrilling thing about voicing those characters throughout the entire anime show?
The most thrilling thing for me was that that was actually the first anime that I ever worked on. Up until that point, I was doing a lot of, and I still do a lot of live action English dubs. So that's a more grounded, subtle way of acting. And then I got the opportunity to work on the Shaman King, and all the characters that I got to play were such funny, loud, brash characters. I got to do like a higher pitch, kind of a New York, more or less a New York accent for Ponchi. He was an incredibly funny character to play. Yeah, it was just so different and so much more wild than the type of dubbing I was doing up until that point.
Well, that's very awesome to hear from you, because all I know is that you being part of that show was just the unique choice there. Especially when
Thank you.
you got to be, because to tell you the truth, for the character John DeBeert, he was played by two actors, you and Alex Lee. But honestly, yours is the best one there, since you are actually more fitting right there. But the most funny thing is that you playing the adult version of Loris the Hell's character was just very awesome, especially when you got to interact with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle actors Michael Nicholas, Greg Abari, and you got to interact with AJ Beckles, which is the most funniest thing you've ever done there. And I give props to the director for making that into something awesome. You interacting with the Ninja Turtles, the most coolest thing ever.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about being a voice actor is sometimes you work with such or your characters perform with such incredible actors, but you never get to work with them yourself, so you don't even realize. Like when I was on DC Superhero Girls, um, that was with I forget who was it that my character was
Hot
Halfset
set.
was yeah Halfset was fighting
Phil Lamar
Hawkman.
and Kimberly Brooks.
Exactly. Yes. And Kimberly Brooks I've met and she's the sweetest person, incredibly nice. Phil Lamar I never met, but especially for my first cartoon to get to fight a character voiced by him was really exciting. Um so
Yeah.
yeah, I wish we could all work in the same room together, but it's always fun knowing who else is on the shows that you've worked on.
Hmm. Well, that's why that's why I did that video for you like 1 year ago involving the characters and voice actors of DC Superhero Girls, which I include you in there to help give you the recognition you deserve. Also for
Oh,
the
thank
sake
you.
of helping that show to be remembered. So yeah, that's all to say about it.
Hmm.
Now then, Shiva and Visceraria in Record of Ragnarok must have had the most unique presence, right? So what's the most coolest thing about voicing those two characters in that anime show?
Yeah, the voicing Shiva was incredible. I just voiced her on the second season. There was a different actor in the first season, um, who did a great job. But that first of all, that was it's a thrill to work on just because Shiva is actually my mom's name in real life. So it was kind of funny to play a character that has my mom's name. But a really fun show to work on. He has a whole episode where he has an epic battle, and those types of anime are always really fun for me to watch. So to get to, you know, play such a developed and exciting moment for that character was super cool. And yeah, just a really interesting character to play. Yeah.
I see. So that's what you love about voicing that character there. Because all I know is that I got to know about Record of Ragnarok because of you and everybody else there. And now you want to know something? The
Hmm.
original actor that you were talking about is Ben Deskin, who originally
Right.
played him, and then you came along. You know whose voice I love better? You, Sean, because you are most fitting to play him right there. But here's
Well,
the best part. There's a third season of Record of Ragnarok coming, and that Shiva, he's gonna return with a more important role there. If he returns, so should you, Sean, because you deserve to be part of it, by all means.
thank you. We'll see. We'll see what happens. That's definitely a fun show. And is a very talented actor too, and a very nice person. So it's we're all on the same team. But I really appreciate you praising my work. It means a
Of
lot.
of course, that is what I do, you know. Plus, I got to meet Ben Deskin himself, so
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Yes, very awesome guy, you know. He even got to remember me because of my collages I did, so yeah.
Nice. Where did you meet him?
And around Jacksonville in Bald Missouri weeks ago. So yeah.
Oh, cool, cool.
So yeah, as Sahad and Sakamoto in Pluto, what was your most favorite thing about voicing those characters?
Okay, if you don't mind, I have to I have to look up uh that's right, Sahad and Sakamoto. I misheard you. Sahad was that was a kind of tragic character to play. And again, me being my background being Persian, it was interesting to get to delve into a complicated version of Persian characters. And yeah, really tragic story. I won't spoil anything, but it was a powerful character to play and a really well-made show. I mean, it was like a almost like a film noir detective type of anime show, very suspenseful. Um, and yeah, that and along with Sahad, I got to play a lot of incidental characters. Some of them I got to do different Persian accents. Some of them were like robots. So it was a wide variety of different characters to play, which is always fun. I love getting to. That's one of my favorite things about this work is getting to play such a wide variety of characters and genres and you know and story types.
Well, that's most interesting to hear from you, my friend, because all I know is that you being part of Pluto was like the very best choice right there, especially since that the art style is made by the author who made Monster and 20th Century Boys and others. And I give props to someone that I met twice, Patrick Seitz, for bringing you into that project. And you want to know the best part? I made the video about the characters and voice actors of Pluto, which I include you in there in order to help give you the recognition you deserve. And the best part? It gained 1,000 views because of what I did.
Nice.
And that's why I'm passing that information to you to make you understand that you being part of more projects is the one way to get you out there into either conventions or any other things that are yet to come. So yeah,
Thank you, Sebastian. That's very kind of you. Yeah, it would be nice to. I hope to meet you in person if I ever do a convention out in Florida. It'd be cool to meet you. But Patrick Seitz was amazing to work with. But he directed me. But the casting director was Rachel Slotsky, who she's cast a lot of amazing shows, and she's also a really talented voice actor herself. And just a really great human being, super funny and nice person. So yeah,
yeah,
a lot of people I got to work with to make the show together,
of
and
course.
yeah, that's part of the fun.
Indeed it is. Well, the game, Starfield. What was the most awesome thing when you got to be in that show in that game as the voice of the character? I'm trying to get this right, but oh right, Alex Shaddad. Yes, Alex Shaddad. What do you love about voicing him?
Um, well, he was kind of similar to me in terms of the way his voice sounded and his personality. He had some funny quips and lines. And for those informational types of video games where you pick what response you want to give the character you're speaking to in a game, I always love the response that's like a out of left field weird response to get a funny reaction. And he got to do a lot of that. But when I was working on that, I before the game came out, I didn't know much about it, but the directors were saying it had been in development for like uh 20 years or something, like a really long time to build this. It's not just building a world, it's building multiple worlds, multiple planets and star systems and stuff. So, yeah, it was a really ambitious project. And my character was one of many in that game, but yeah, he was a funny character to be.
That's most interesting to hear from you, because hey, you being part of that game was just the most surprising thing ever right there. And the directors, they did the most splendid job bringing you in there, since you, my friend, are just one special person to be part of it.
Thank you. Thank you. You're very
Of
kind,
course,
Sebastian.
it's what I do, always. My last question I want to ask you is this, but in Jurassic World Chaos Theory, what stood about you voicing the character Rio, and those additional voices you were brought to. Do you love being in that show, The Jurassic World?
Yeah, I definitely loved it. That's another epic show where they're really ambitious. A lot happens in the show. It's well written, well animated, well acted, and Rio was a cool character to play. This kind of seedy Maltese, like black market dinosaur wrangler type of character was a lot of fun to play. And yeah, again, it's always fun. All kinds of voiceover are fun, whether it's you're doing stuff in your own voice and it's more grounded, or you get to put a texture or a pitch on your voice and totally transform. Rio was one where I transformed, but I love both. It's always a lot of fun doing all of the work.
Hmm.
But yeah, definitely a fun show to work on.
Interesting. So that's what you love about being in that show. Because I got to know about that show because of a lot of people involved in it, including Chris J. Alex, Evan Michael Lee, Steve Bloom, and now you, my friend, are with them right there. Just makes it feel like, boy, you, sir, are just one special person to be part of a franchise that has been going on since 1990s. And you
Oh,
deserve
thank you.
that, my friend. And
Thank you so much. I'm just happy to be a small part of it. Do you have a favorite show right now that you love watching?
you know, that's the most interesting question I'd like to hear from you, but the one show real that I'm most interested in is like I don't even know. I don't even have a favorite. I just like to watch a lot of shows. But there is one in mind that I'm watching right now, and
Hmm.
that's Love on the Spectrum.
Oh, right. That's a good show.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. You have been watching it, right?
I haven't seen all of it, but I've seen a lot of it. Yeah, and they have it in different countries, right? I saw it in
Y-
Australia.
Yes, you are
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, it was really interesting to watch. A very sweet show, and it was nice to learn more about, people with experiences similar to your own as far as being on the spectrum and how to navigate life that way. It was a really interesting show to watch.
Well, that's nice to hear from you. Well, Sean, it's such an honor to finally meeting you after 4 years, my friend, and that having you there was just a splendid gift to me.
Oh, the feeling is mutual, Sebastian. Hopefully the next time is less than 4 years from now.
Of course. There's one more thing before I go, and I want this to be very quick, but when people look back on your work, how do you want to be remembered as a voice actor?
I I just want to be remembered as somebody who always strived to do quality work. Whether it was the smallest character in that nobody would recognize or the main character in a show. I just always want to bring truth and authenticity to the characters that I play in a way that's entertaining for audiences.
Hmm. Well, that's very interesting and very happy, actually. But you know what? That's one of the real reasons why I am going to work with you in the industry. And I will help you get major roles eventually. And if there's a project going on, then I'd be gladly to help you get us together in a scene to, make things awesome.
Thank you, Sebastian. I look forward to that day and keep up all your hard work and all the amazing things you're doing. It's really impressive.
I'm honored you say that, Sean. And thank you so much for all the blessings you give to me, and that
Sure.
I hope for you to do something very awesome, my friend.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Of course. See you around, my friend.
See you, my friend.
Bye. Want to keep up with my journey? Follow me on social media for more updates, behind the scenes moments, and all the fun along the way.